Well, again, smoke-free Fridays. We're like an airplane post 1995. Completely smoke-free. Josh, are you old enough to have – you're not old enough to have ever been on an airplane when there was smoking.
Paul does not want to smoke.
No, I'll see them actually here in about an hour and a half. I'm back, Josh, for one night only. I'm back in the game doing high school football tonight. So,
well, I'm on the road right now, so that makes two of us.
Yeah. But I do remember Garrett was probably not on an airplane when there was smoking when you were younger.
No, there was. I wasn't on the airplanes, but I do remember the restaurants very well.
Yeah. I remember being like a 6-year-old kid and like the captain has turned off the non-smoking sign and people are like, oh, good. No better place to smoke than up here in the air. Riding on jet fuel.
I can't imagine that. I really cannot imagine that.
It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. All right, Josh, let's dive into it. Big 12 this week. Nebraska, Colorado, which is an old Big 12 rivalry that is now a cross-conference rivalry. And each team has left. One team came back. And in the new era, Colorado won the first game back in this little swing last year when they were still a Pac-12 team. What do you think happens in this game tomorrow?
Can we start off by acknowledging it's the best scheduled game in America?
Yes.
I mean, because it does not matter outside of September. It doesn't. Like, it means nothing outside of this month. But this month, it's like Nebraska, Deion Sanders, Colorado, fire me up, night game. And then it's like we're both 4-7, like at the end of the year. So I love that part of it. I'm curious, like, does Nebraska have good corners? Because as bad as the Colorado defense is, as small as they looked last week, you still have to cover Jimmy Horn and Travis Hunter. And like, this is one of those games where, look, like I would almost take my chances with a second string corner as opposed to Travis Hunter because I don't want to tire him out already. And I would let him be a receiver and just let him cook. I mean, he's one of the best 2 or 3 players in the entire sport. So I think that's an interesting angle to this. How much better is Colorado? Like, as fun as the Dylan Raiola, Patrick Mahomes thing is, he's not quite there yet for me. He's very good, though. He's very talented. But, like, yeah, it's just 2 awesome quarterbacks. Like, as much hype is behind Shedeur. Shedeur is pretty good just because he's on time. He's on schedule. He makes throws you want him to make, and he's incredibly accurate. And so I love that about him. Like, it's kind of the Lonzo Ball of quarterbacks, right? LeVar did the talking, and Lonzo just kind of shut up and was like, here's 3 awesome defensive plays, here's 6 rebounds, here's 7 or 8 assists and 12 points. And it's like, that'll play at the NBA level. It's great. So that's kind of my thought on the Sanders thing, just like how it looks. And I just don't know if they can generate enough pressure on Raiola to make him uncomfortable and make him look like a freshman quarterback.
Cyhawk, Iowa State, can they win on the road?
They could. I mean, they could. Their linebacker depth is not good because they're injured right now, and you're a bit worried going up against a team like Iowa that probably wants to run the rock. That's a question. Let's see how good the wide receiver group can be. Last week was not great. How healthy is Abu Sama? I don't love asking the health questions 2 weeks into the season. But last year's Iowa State group was a surprise because of how good they were. And I'm wondering how much this group can build off of that. And if they're capable of building off of that. Do they have the ability? Are they being developed? I'm not questioning the staff and the talent. I'm questioning just both together collectively. Like, will there be an improvement on this team from last year? So they could go in there and win. They might have a better quarterback. Like, at their peaks, I actually think that Rocco is a bit better than Cade McNamara. And so because of that, they've got a shot at winning this game. But last time they went in there, the weird thing is they won. It was just Hunter Deckers who won the game for them at the end. That amazing drive. They had like 5 pass interference calls. So they know they can win there. Last week's performance makes me a little nervous for Iowa State.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, this game never goes how you think it's going to go. What's your gauge on Texas Tech right now?
Well, Paul, I've said this to you. I will keep saying it again. I keep asking for it. They keep not giving it to me. I'll take you seriously if you can play some kind of competent defense. Last week does not meet the threshold. So I'm not saying that, crap on them. They can't win on the road, whatever. But think about it. Their games are all going to be close if they can't, or it might not be close in the other direction if they can't stop anybody. And that's the big question for them is, can they stop someone? Because Zach Kitley's understood it now. Last week you saw it. They can put up a lot of points. They can throw it around while running the football. Taj Brooks had a great game last week, and he had a lot of great games last year once they started pounding the rock. But the defense is what it comes down to. So they could win tomorrow's game 42-41, but we'd still be asking the same question that we were asking previous to last week. And so that's what I'm curious about is, does their defense look better on the road than it did last week at home against inferior competition?
Which team has a better chance of getting upset? Utah at home against Baylor or Kansas on the road against Illinois?
Kansas on the road against Illinois. Was not overly impressed with Baylor last week. The good news for Baylor is they played this game last year. They played them pretty close. Cam Rising did not play. Whole different deal for Baylor, different offensive coordinator with now they've got Jake Spavital, and obviously DeQuan Finn was hit or miss last week, as I'm sure you all have talked about. But they've got the personnel. I don't think is a problem for Baylor. They actually have the personnel to win this game. To keep it close, like they have personnel, sure. It's just execution for me has not been what you want it to be on offense for now. What I mean, year and a half, 2 years, 2 years in a game, whatever you want to say. And even when they won the Big 12 championship, it wasn't like we were talking about a gangbusters offense. So that's where my questions lie, is with the Baylor offense. Can they keep up in a situation where they might have to keep up? Because Cam Rising looked fresh last week. They've got some questions of their own to answer. Do they look good against Power 5 opponents? Power 4 now, excuse me. RIP Pac-12. But does he look good enough against Power 4 opponents? I think he can. But it's a road situation for Baylor that scares me. So tonight on the road for, KU against Brett Baylor is a competent coach. So I think they got a good enough game plan. But KU, this same KU group really stuck it to Illinois last year. And obviously the Illinois team at home wants some redemption, different quarterback, and all that stuff. But yeah, I would say KU because they're on the road against a Big Ten team, as opposed to Baylor, on the road against a team that was picked to win the league this year in what is now a non-conference game.
Yeah, but it's Baylor only has one more, I guess Utah too, only one more non-Big 12 game technically on this schedule. All right, last up, I left this for the end because to me it's a very intriguing matchup. Given that Oklahoma State really good at home, looked really solid last week against admittedly South Dakota State is an FCS team, but they're the best FCS team. And they looked really good. They handled their business. They did what they were supposed to do. Arkansas is a team, and you live in Arkansas, they're painted into a corner. But Taylor Green is super athletic. Bobby Petrino's calling the offense now. How much at risk do you think the Pokes are on Saturday?
Well, the line, it was funny. I'm not sure if you all saw line movement today, but it jumped from 7.5 to 9.5 and 10. So in the Arkansas book, which obviously are going to take more action on Arkansas, it was 9.5. And then I started seeing it at 10.5 in other places. There's a reason the money's coming into the Pokes. It's because they've got a better coach, the group, not a massive physical advantage, but when was the last time we were like Oklahoma State's got a massive physical advantage? They are susceptible to playing poorly against teams, like BYU last year, good example. but they've got more cohesion. They've got more guys who have been together for a period of time, and I think that benefits them a lot, having that kind of in the arsenal. So I'm actually not like, if Arkansas is gangbusters, they're gangbusters. It's a huge shock to everybody, but they scored on all 10 drives last week against UAPB, and UAPB was a 2-9 SWAC team. And I'll tell you what, man, they're fired up here. Like they're like, well, here it comes. Bobby's back. It's like, yeah, that's not really a good barometer. So it's almost like week one again for Arkansas. And I don't like going week one again. Also, they didn't punt or kick any field goals. So like in a game, it's like, that was around a touchdown spread for a while. Your kicking might be important, and we haven't seen any of the kicking from Arkansas yet. So I think that could be a big advantage that Oklahoma State has. So I like the Pokes. Might be a competitive and closer-ish game, but I think Oklahoma State eventually does get the job done and probably distances themselves just a touch there maybe at the end.
Josh Neighbors, Big 12 Watch, on with this. Josh, have a good game tonight, my friend.
I'm driving to Carlisle, Arkansas for Carlisle and Junction City. I can't wait.
I don't know that those two places are real.
I could have lied to you, and you would have been like, great. Sounds fun.
No offense to the people in Arkansas. I've just never been to that part of the state.
That's fine. I have an ex-girlfriend from Carlisle. We're not fans. It's fine. It's okay.
Well, hopefully you can avoid her.
All right, we'll
Josh,
try.
Yeah. Best of luck.
Bye.
Josh Neighbors, Big 12 Watch. He'll be back on video with us next week, but had to travel to the wilds of Carlisle, Arkansas.
Seems sketchy.
Yeah.
Seems sketchy.